This morning, I have a question for all of you. You may have been asked in the past, but unsure as to what to say. That is, what is Buddhism? Or more specifically, what do you believe in? It is a simple question and may have different answers. You may say Buddhism is the teaching of Siddhartha Gautama, who was born in India around 560 BCE. You may also say that he was the only son of a noble family, and his parents were told by a Brahmin spiritual leader that he would either be a great king or a spiritual leader. Wishing to have his son become a great leader, his father sheltered his son inside the walls of the palace as he was growing up. When he was 29, he went out beyond the walls of the palace to see what the rest of the world looked like. He found through the first gate an old man, and he asked his servant, "Who was he?" And the servant said, "That is a man old and aging. It is a natural part of life." Siddhartha was confused, but then he went out the second gate and saw a sick man. And again, Siddhartha asked, "Why is this man sick?" His servant said that this is also part of nature, and sickness could strike anyone, no matter the status of the individual. The third gate led him to witness a funeral, and his servant said, "This is also reality of life, and no one is immune to this fact." The fourth gate, Siddhartha came upon a holy man who had renounced the worldly pleasures and searched for spiritual truth. This caused Siddhartha to question the meaning of life and the nature of suffering and existence. Siddhartha then decided to seek the truth, suffering, and left his family and his worldly possessions to seek the path of enlightenment. After trying to seek truth through practice of extreme forms of self-denial to find spiritual knowledge, he was unable to find the path to true enlightenment. After 6 years, he found the path of moderation, or the middle path, which led him to enlightenment and to become a Buddha. Now, getting back to the original question, as a Buddhist, what do you believe in? There are over 70 Buddhist organizations just in the Chicago area. They all have the roots in the original story of Siddhartha Gautama, but their form of practice may be different. If you say you are a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, what does that mean? First again, we must start at the beginning, when Siddhartha Gautama found enlightenment and became a Buddha. His first teaching to his disciples was the Four Noble Truths: suffering, cause of suffering, cessation of suffering, and the path to cessation of suffering. The cessation of suffering and the path from suffering leads us to the Eightfold Path, which are the right view, right thought, right speech, right conduct, right endeavor, right mindfulness, and right meditation. Now, all Buddhist schools have these beliefs in their teachings, but they may practice them differently. Theravada Buddhism, which practices strict adherence to the original Buddhist teachings, migrated from India down to Sri Lanka. These precepts are taken very literally, and those who practiced them were monks who sought enlightenment through self-power. The other branches, known as Mahayana Buddhism, which moved through China, Korea, and Japan. As it spread through these countries, it picked up different aspects of Buddhist teachings, as well as some of the local religious beliefs. Our school of Buddhism developed from the teachings of Shinran Shonin, who was a Japanese monk from the Tendai school. He was dissatisfied by the other monks' practice on Mount Hiei. And in 1201, he left the monastery to find a different path. So he went down to this town, and he had a mentor, Honen Shonin, who had founded a form of Buddhism known as Jodo Shu, or the Pure Land School. One of the basic principles of the school was that one cannot obtain enlightenment in his own, and that one must rely on Amitabha, the Buddha of infinite light and compassion, and the Nembutsu, which is the reciting of the Nam Amida Butsu. Also the belief that all sentient beings can become a Buddha. Shinran believed that the teachings of Sakyamuni were not only for monks and noblemen, but for all men and women. The basis for Jodo Shinshu is the realization of the primal vow, which are the 48 vows in the larger sutra. But Shinran found focus on the 8th vow, which says, if when I attain Buddhahood, I will not obtain enlightenment until all sentient beings also attain enlightenment. So the difference between the Jodo Shinshu Buddhism and other Buddhist schools is it focuses on Amida Buddha and the practice of reciting the Nembutsu to attain enlightenment and rebirth. Jodo Shinshu is a simple religion, unlike other schools requiring monastic practice or meditation. Jodo Shinshu followers can obtain enlightenment through the recitation of the Nembutsu. In Shin Buddhism, obtaining awakening comes naturally through acceptance of one's own nature. And the practice of Jodo Shinshu places strong emphasis on community and communal practice. As we recite the 3 treasures, this is the basis of the teachings of Jodo Shinshu. So I hope you have a better understanding of what Jodo Shinshu is, and if you are asked, what is Jodo Shinshu, you can provide a better answer. Please join me in Gassho. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. Namo Amida Butsu.